Mineral Resources Minister Mosebenzi Zwane has introduced a third mining charter that aims to, among other things, grow black ownership in that space. The new mining charter requires companies to give 8% of their shares to their workers. It also requires 50% of black representation at board level of mining companies, of which 25% must be women. Lastly, it requires 70% procurement of mining goods from BEE companies. The new mining charter has been condemned by the Chamber of Mines, who say they were not adequately consulted. Mamokgethi Molopyane, who is a mining and labour analyst, joins me in studio now to discuss this. Thanks so much for your time on SABC News. If this new mining charter was implemented now, what would the effects be?
The effects would mean that we are seeing the mining industry that would change. And by that I mean, in terms of the structure of how executive boards are structured, that would change. How senior management is structured, that would change. But critically, that would mean ownership of most of the mining companies would have to have the majority of black owners in order to be able to do business in South Africa. Also significant is that workers will not only just be getting wages, but they would be getting 8% of any profit that is coming from the annual turnover towards workers' employee share scheme programs, or ESOPs as they are called. Another significant thing, if it was to be implemented, is that now mining companies have to give 1% of their annual turnover to the BEE partner and communities before going to the shareholders.
We've had lots of reaction to this new mining charter. We've also been told that 60,000 jobs were lost in the mining sector in the last 5 years. And if the charter is implemented as is, we will see these numbers skyrocketing. What's your idea on that?
Indeed. In fact, the actual numbers is about 75,000 in the past 5 years. Mostly, we have seen it in the platinum sector because the global demand for it has been so volatile. But on Thursday, when the chamber was responding in their media briefing to the Minister of Mining's tabling of the charter, I did pose a question to say, what does this mean now for the average mine worker who goes underground? And they did say, well, a little policy uncertainty have always had a negative impact on jobs. Now, with this new mining charter, do remember that the chamber has outright rejected it and are taking under review and feel they are co-opted. So they were saying, now without a doubt, while this would go on, while they would challenge it legally, chances are that we are going to see some companies shed jobs.
The National Union of Mine Workers has said in response to the Chamber of Mines that they are anti-transformation, and that's the reason that they don't want the new mining charter implemented.
Indeed, it's strong words coming from NUM. You'd recall that over the number of years that NUM has been existing, the past 20 years, they've significantly pushed forward more the transformation imperatives of their mandate as unions, but also as per COSATU has been calling. So it's not surprising that they are saying the chamber is action are going to be seen as being anti-transformation. I do constantly emphasize to the chamber that you cannot come out as if you are prescribing how transformation must be or how it must be carried out in the mining sector. For you are the player in the industry, and you cannot be perceived as the referee equally saying this is how we as the chamber see transformation unfolding. I think that part, you and I know, lies with the regulator of the industry, who is the Minister of Mining. However, the manner in which it was tabled, it comes off as being I am telling you this instead of consultative process. And South Africa history has shown us, post-democracy history has shown us, when legislature is perceived as being told so and not consultative or engaging each other, it is often rejected outright. But I'll emphasize again, the chamber has to be careful in its language, that it does not seem that they are completely anti-transformation in opposing the charter.
Also, when the mining charter announcement came out on Thursday, we saw that the mining index lost 2.55% of its value and gold mining 5.27%. people reacting to this saying not only is the Chamber of Mines anti-transformation, but the markets are anti-transformation, and people want to see the status quo in mining and such industries continued.
Yes, and I think we have to be careful, because mining industry runs the risk of saying, of repeating the legacy of its history, of entrenching it further deeper. I do think to the average person who is in the mining industry, who's black or outside the mining industry, it is hard for them to forget the boot of the mines on their necks or on the backs of black workers as they were exploiting them, and the history that comes with that. And if indeed they are serious about addressing transformation, they would put forward the tangible argument why transformation mustn't happen and quantify it. At the moment, we seem to be dealing with an industry that is perceived and continues to entrench that belief that they are not for transformation.
Thank you very much for your time on SABC News.